All right. Hi, everybody. It's Cami, and we are interviewing for Cut the Clutter, my book coming out in December of 2017. And today I'm interviewing my guest, Erin Harold with Sotheby's Real Estate. Hello and welcome.
Hello.
So, Erin and I have known each other for a decade. I actually met you when I was 21 years old.
Wow.
And you had a salon at the time.
I did.
You owned Sweet Lily Salon in Ballard, and I had just started organizing, not knowing anything about anyone, and we had met through a networking event.
Yes.
And then we just kind of took it over, I feel
That's right, we did. We did.
Because that's what happens when collaborative people get together. It was like we would have these ideas, and that's something that I really just loved about you and your energy, because we would sit down and we would look at okay, we're going to create an event. What are we going to do? Oh, we're going to go over the top and we're going to do all of these things. And then we actually did them, they were awesome events. And
affected a lot of people's lives in a positive way, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's why you're so successful, is because you've maintained relationships. And I've always said, Erin knows everybody, and you are the networking queen. So I'm so excited to be interviewing you today. And I have some questions that I'm going to ask from your expertise, because Sotheby's kind of stands out in my mind as a more affluent demographic and reach. So can you tell me a little bit about, conversation that you have with your clients about the highlights of the home, how to highlight them? What's the common issue you see when it comes to clutter as a realtor?
Well, when you're selling real estate for any reason, whether it's a $40,000 condo in South Seattle, or if it's a $40 million property state, and it's all relatively the same thing that you're trying to do. And you're trying to make whatever it is you're selling look its very best. And the one thing that's difficult to get people to understand is that you're trying to sell it to a stranger, someone who's never seen that product before. And by product, I mean real estate in this circumstance. And they have to imagine themselves living in or owning that product. And so the most important thing that you can do when preparing a property for sale is to depersonalize it. And that means that you have to take yourself out of the equation. You have to remove yourself emotionally from the property so that you can sell it. You have to remove all of your personal items from the home so that they don't interrupt someone else's vision of themselves coming into the space and living there. So the way that we do that is to either remove all of the product out of the home, and that means your own furniture, your own pictures, whatever it is that's about you, because those are your personal tastes. And then there's a very big science about preparing a home for sale, and that science is called staging and marketing. And the people that are in charge of staging and marketing a home that we work with spend years studying the concepts of what people respond to and how things can be photographed and filmed. And that's a very different image, that's a very different world than something that you would live on top of because you like them.
Right.
So removing things from the home and then replacing them with items that attract the eye of the person who's spending the dollar is extremely important. And they do that at Nordstrom's. They do that at Whole Foods. They do that in every business that one would go and spend money. They prepare every single aisle specifically so that you will spend more money. Right. And when I am selling a property for someone, it's their asset that I'm trying to make more money on for them. That's my job. It's part of my licensure. And so in doing so, preparing it perfectly so that when people come in, they want to fight over it and spend top dollar. And that's what I've mastered, Jenny. That's what we do here.
See, and this is why I'm interviewing her, because she's so good. But, and that's the thing of it, is I love that you bring business to it. So
Yeah.
where in my world, I'm always trying to convince people to love the space they're in and make it an emotional connection, not so much to the stuff, but to the environment. And so for the perspective of downsizing or cutting the clutter, which may be your home, because some people have 5 mansions and they just need to downsize one of them, you know? So
That's true.
having that business perspective of, here's an asset. It's no longer your home. You're wanting to move on. I'm the expert coming into this space, and here's what I see from a business standpoint. And I think that just that mindset sets you apart from other realtors, because they just see the little, maybe too much of the detail and the paperwork, and you're seeing the business of selling the home.
And all of those are important points. And the reason that people sell property, there are numerous reasons. It's a business decision. They want to reinvest. They're divorcing. Someone died. Their kids are moving out, and now they have to downsize. Or they're having more children, and they need more space.
Yes.
And it does create a lot of stuff. And so all of those circumstances are emotional. Living in a home for a long time and moving, you have memories there. That's emotional. So it's my job as an agent to try and refocus someone to the business perspective, but still have empathy and compassion for the emotional part. And that's where people like you come in. I bring in experts, organizing experts that come in and help me get my clients through that transition period where we are removing. They're depersonalizing. They're taking their product, their lives, their memories, all of their things, and they're packing them away and moving them somewhere else. You know, that's a big deal. It's hard for people. It's really overwhelming. I don't do that. I'm not allowed to touch people's home and effectuate people's home based on my licensure. So I have to bring in professionals to do that. And over my career, I have vetted so many professionals that stage, that remove clutter, that organize homes, you being one of them. And you can't just bring anybody in and throw them at someone like that, because it's overwhelming to them. They're stressed. You know, one of the things that my company and that me personally have become so good at is making the entire transition from start to finish feel like they didn't have to do anything, that it was pleasant, that it felt good, that they leave with a wonderful feeling at the end. Because I can concierge all of those things for them, and that's what you do. You help them through the process. And if someone's agent or personal assistant or organizer isn't doing that for them and it feels stressful, then they're with the wrong people.
Right, because and I love what you said about that too, because, you know, clutter comes in so many different forms, whether it's emotional clutter, mental clutter, then physical. Usually those 3 things happen at the same time. And it's exactly what differentiates people in any industry, in my opinion, is that, you know, if I could find a personal trainer that could work me out with my brain just thinking about Justin Timberlake, you would be hired. You know what I mean? So to have that white glove service of, here's the vision, here's my people that I have in place, and I am your point person, and here are all the people that are going to make that happen for you.
That's right.
You know, there's always 2 approaches, but I find that most times it can be overwhelming and stressful when an agent or somebody comes in and says, yep, you got to do all of this.
And then see you later.
Bye. Let me know when you're ready to sell. And so to have, and that's why, again, you know, networking, your net worth is your network, right? And so that's something that we've always kind of maintained in our businesses, and with that entrepreneurial mindset is, yes, I'm the best in my field, and I'm going to also find the best for you to get the best outcome. Because, you can sell your home, but I want to give you that experience. You're selling an experience, and so that's something that I really love, and you do so well.
Thank you.
Let's see, what other questions do I have? Well, let's dive into parenting, because you have amazing children. And
Thank you.
I remember the first time I came to your home, you were living in Ballard, and you were somebody that really first understood what it is that I did, because you were like, you know, at the time I was like, you do what and how? And I came to your house and everything was in order. And what I mean by that was you had maintainable routines for your lifestyle, like the way that you've in her transformation story also, which we probably won't get into, but she needs to write a book just on that. But your exercise, your food routines, your home was so streamlined but yet inviting. And so tell me a little bit about decluttering and being a parent and what that has also brought to the table.
It can be really hard. It can be a really big struggle being a parent, even with a partner, but even as a single parent, which I was when we met. Having systems in place allow you to get through all of the things you have to do in a day, because being a parent isn't glamorous. There's so many loads of laundry. There's so many dinners and breakfasts to cook. There's so many lunches to pack and kids to go from A to B. And if you're surrounded by chaos, okay, that chaos will filter into the things that you have to do and make them more stressful. So I found, just in my personal life as a grown person and having children as well, that if everything has its place and everything has a structure and your surroundings are peaceful and inviting and warm and loving and welcoming and orderly, everything else just falls into place. And, nutrition is important, because if you're not eating the right things and you don't have space in your kitchen to create nutritious food, everybody falls apart because they're not getting what they need, and everyone knows that. Exercise is important because as a human being, we need more exercise, clearly, but it also really helps to alleviate stress. If you don't take that time for yourself, you can't be a very good parent, because you're going to be overwhelmed.
Prioritizing your time and your day.
You have to prioritize your day. You have to have everything you need within arm's reach and be able to put it away at the end of the day, so you're not just looking at a mess all the time. And the other thing that it does, especially with kids and raising kids, and my kids are now grown, 18 and 13.
I know, it's so weird.
But when we met, they were like 4
babies.
and 9, I think.
Yeah.
Kids thrive on structure. They thrive on routine. They thrive on experience. They don't need a mountain of stuff. And I can't tell people that enough. They don't care about your stuff. They don't care about how many toys they have. What they care about is you.
Right.
Time with you.
Yeah. Doing
things with you and each other and other people. And so having a mountain of stuff just creates conflict. Because you got to clean it, put it away, put your toys away, do this, da 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 da. Okay, if you don't have a mountain of stuff, you don't have as many of those conflicts, first of all. But you're also teaching them that putting things away, putting things in order, putting things, have whatever room you have, just have enough stuff to fit in that space. Yeah. And you don't need more. Right. So one thing that we always did, like on Christmas and birthdays, they got 5 new presents. They gave away 5 of their things.
In and out, girl.
In and out. So, whatever you bring in, that many things goes out. It taught them to be empathetic to people that don't have. It taught them to give and to donate. It taught them to analyze their space and really keep themselves kind of in order and things like that. When people turn into teenagers, well, everybody just explodes. But coming back to seeing my daughter as a grown 18-year-old, when she has the concept of making her surroundings her own, making her things important, but not so important that life is not more important. So, you can put order to things, and it teaches a lot of lessons that you don't think about, but it also just makes our life so much easier for everyone.
And I think that as a parent, when you feel you're lacking, you want to fill the void with stuff.
Yep.
At least that was my experience.
Or if you had an experience as a child, maybe you didn't have. I grew up without a lot. And I did make the mistake early when my children were really little that I had to provide them all the things I didn't have. What I realized was it was creating all this noise and mess and chaos, right? What she wanted was me, me. And so I learned from that. And from the time my daughter was 3, I got rid of all the stuff, and realized that she could have the coolest toy in the world. She's going to go play with me and a ball outside. She doesn't care about her stuff. I'd see her grandparents giving her mountains of toys, because I was a single mom. I couldn't afford a lot. And she never played with any of it. So I just took it out of my house. And I have friends that do the same thing. They're trying to compensate for what they were missing, like giving, or they're busy. They work too much, and they're not giving themselves the time to spend with their kids, which is their decision. And they're filling that void with stuff, with phones, with TVs, with whatever, trips. No. Right. That's not right.
One of the fondest memories I have at your home, too, was that we were doing something, we're probably planning something at your kitchen table at the time, and you were like, Lily ran in with Dylan and she just started singing from the other room and playing the piano, and it's like everything stopped and shifted towards her, you know, and you're creating moments, and that's something that I built my platform on, or the whole idea of, is that by eliminating, you actually gain, right?
Yeah.
You when you give, you get. And so I think people have this sense of fear, or they don't want to let go, or they want to control too much, or they overcompensate too much. But you actually get so many more memories. You make connections.
Memories are things that you're doing with another person or with yourself. They're an experience.
Right.
They're not a thing.
Right.
And people make the mistake, and I see this every day in my job, and I know you do too, when I go into someone's house and they've lived someplace for 20 years or even 10 years with their kids or their family, every time they pick up a shoe or a ball or I don't even know what it is, some trinket, there's some emotion attached to that. Mm-hmm. It's not the thing. It's the memory that's important, and I can't stress that enough. You can still get rid of that weird shoe that you only have one of that doesn't have a match.
Yeah, or it's kind of broken that you need to fix.
Because, you know, and still have the memory.
Yeah.
So I think that there's some psychology behind that, where people, they put their emotions onto stuff, and the stuff becomes more important, and then they have trouble getting rid of the stuff. And it's hard to see that, but I see it every day in my work, and it's a hard lesson to teach someone that, you know what, not only do your kids not care about that stuff, nor should they, you know, all they should care about are the times you spend with each other.
Right.
You know, my kids didn't have a lot of stuff because I didn't allow it, so they had to play outside. Yeah. And they had to play their music. Concept. They had to play with each other. They had to play with me. They had to draw. They had to read. You know, we didn't even have a TV. I didn't want a TV in my house. Yeah. And so what we have developed over this 18 years are all of these memories of experience.
Oh, it makes me want to cry because they're so big now. And it's true. Like, I think about them as little, and, you know, I don't ever remember, even in our relationship, we were always creating an experience for someone or the kids. Even in our home, like, I remember sitting with you on your dining room table, and we would be creating not things but experiences or moments, and that really is what it's all about. And I really think that on a professional level, you know, I put you on a platform with a dentist and anyone else that is impacting my life in such a real way, is that when you're organized and you live this truth, and you really start to embody what is less is more, you perform at such an optimum level. Like, I've met professionals that have, you know, they talk the talk, they're great at what they do, and then you go to their house and you're like, really? Like, that's where you live? Your, like, kids are nuts? And, like, you know, it happens all the time. And, you know, one thing that I rave about you is that you do anything that you do, you actually sit back and look at, how can I do this the best? And not only how can I do this the best, you prepare in advance for the experience that somebody else is going to have. And I know from knowing you that is totally what sets you apart.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. It all matters. And it's like, 10 years later, having this interview with you, it's like no time was lost. Yeah. And you're living your truth, and you are doing new things and creating new memories, like we were just talking about before we started the interview. And it's so true, and it's beautiful. And by living this life and operating from that level, you're just creating beautiful experiences, because that is something that you can take with you at the end of your life when you're laying in bed. You can't touch or feel anything, but you have your memories with you. And that's what's important.
That's all kids remember. It's all that clients remember. Yeah. I mean, when I do work with people, that's pretty much what I hear from all people. I have testimonials on my website that I don't prompt people. I don't give them things to say. I'm not even there when they're being filmed. Yeah. I send my photographer out to just talk to people, good or bad. How was your experience? Because it helps me grow as an agent. And what I keep hearing a lot is, she's our bulldog, which I like, because I will fight for my clients.
Dog with a bone. I always said that.
I will fight, and I do have I degree in real estate investment development and residential and commercial. I don't just have a license, and so I spent a lot of years studying this concept of real estate, and then I spent 25 years in a very high-end customer service industry, and those two things combined, this education and this experience that I've had, has allowed me to really enter into this industry with a very different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And people notice that.
Or not just one focus goal.
No, my focus isn't just, yes, it's your asset. Yes, I can analyze your asset and explain to you whether it's we sell, we rent, we keep, we hold, we diversify, whatever that is with the real estate, I can do that because of my education. Most agents can't.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to list and sell your house because they want a paycheck. I don't care about the paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
I like to get paid.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if that's a year from now, I'll do it with you for a year from now. But what I want to make sure that we're doing is that we're having an experience. And that's where Sotheby's is misinterpreted sometimes. Yes, they're very known for high-end luxury real estate and luxury items and so on, but we'll still list a $40,000 condo. It's not the price point that we service, mm-hmm. it's the type of service we provide mm-hmm. that sets us apart.
The white glove service.
Yes,
mm-hmm.
it's the concierge service, it's the interaction, it's the relationship. My clientele are people that I have had lifelong. Mm-hmm. They are people that I have known for 25 years, mm-hmm. and when I meet someone new, they stay as my contact
right.
and a friend for life. And that's what I hear. I hear that, when we first met her, she had a lot to say. She had a lot of strong opinions, and we were unsure of what to do, and she helped us along the way. And at the end of the day, she did an exceptional job. We're so happy, and she's become part of our family.
Yeah.
She's
mm-hmm.
become our friend. Mm-hmm. She's who we go to if we have any questions about
mm-hmm.
anything
mm-hmm.
or need to know who to call for something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's that network that I provide right. that makes it different. And that's network was established by years of me doing hard work and mm-hmm. vetting out, weeding out the people that can't meet my expectation. Right. And my expectation is so high of other people who work with me or that I will put in touch with my clients that they don't have to do that work.
Right.
And I know that's exactly what you do.
That's what we're doing. I know. That's what we've always done because you believe in what you're doing. Yeah. Why, and we'll talk about this, and this interview's going long, but it's good. So, I had a phone call today that on my way over here, a friend of mine said, I set up this meeting, I talked to her on the phone, she knew I was coming, and she blew me off. Wow. And the thing about it is, she was so invested and emotional about it, which I think as women, we just take that sometimes. A lot. I know that I do, but I'm an emotional person, so I'm like, what? You don't like me? But I told her, I said, you have to remove that. You have to look at it from a professional standpoint that you were prepared. You were ready. You knew what you wanted. Don't assume that she was meeting you at that same place.
Right.
And so when you're working with clients or other contractors, that's a big misconception too, is not everybody is going to meet you at your level. And you got to weed that out and find your team that is.
Yep.
And it's so important. And I think where a lot of entrepreneurs in that go wrong is they get doors slammed in their face and like, oh.
You give up.
Oh, yeah,
well,
that didn't work out. But you can't.
Yeah.
That's what.
And that was just another opportunity to do better.
Yes, or different.
Mm-hmm.
Like that didn't work for me for a reason. Thank goodness, because now I'm doing
Look at the
this.
lesson I just learned.
Yes.
Now, next time I go into someone else's office, I'm going to know that's not what I want.
Right.
That's not good for my client.
Right.
I mean, all of this hard work makes a big difference. I mean, I came into this company. I've always worked for just this company throughout my entire career, and that was a huge career change, huge shift from doing something for 25 years and getting a degree and doing something else. It's a big difference. And I also interned for 3 years while I was in college and running my other business full time as a single mom. It was a lot of hard work, but what I accomplished with that, with just this difference in personality, there are so many good agents out there. In my office specifically, there are so many good agents, but I mean, I was the number one in volume and the number 2 agent in my office last year. Period. The reason is because I care about my clients. My clients matter to me. Yeah. I always answer the phone. I'm always there when they need me. I'm honest when I can't be as to why. They're people. We have to treat people like human beings.
It's a relationship.
Yeah, and then I give them good advice that works. Okay, you can talk all day long about what you know or who you think you are and blah 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 blah. But the reality is, I can show up in my suit or I can show up in my workout clothes or my barn boots, and I'm still going to give them the same service. I'm going to be there. I'm going to help them. I'm going to hold their hand and follow through. And I know good people, and that makes all the difference. that hard work, that effort brings success. If you put hard work and effort into yourself, into your space, you're going to get success.
Right.
When you skip things and you cut corners and you get shifty and you're not real, you're going to not succeed. You're
Two
gonna
things
fail.
you said right there, and I'm going to quote that, I know for sure, is authenticity and hard work. And I think that people get so disillusioned when somebody is succeeding. Like, oh, I want that. Are you willing to do the 10 years that we've been in business and the hard turns? And it's hard work.
It is hard
And
work.
through that hard work, when you feel like falling on your face and you're tired and you don't want to do it anyway. Do you have that? And when you do, are you authentically yourself? Because maybe you don't sell their home. Maybe they work with somebody else who does sell their home. But the next time they are thinking of somebody, they're not excited about that person. They're calling you. Why? Because you took the time to establish that relationship. And that's something
that time and again.
I mean, we've been in business for a long time now, thankfully.
Yeah.
And it's because of that hard work and authentic connection that, you know, I'm sure you have this too, where I've gone on trips with clients, or they'll invite me to special things within their lives. Like, I'm just a organizer, but they're like, hey, come to Alaska with me. Come to New Mexico or New York or wherever, and I have
my daughter's
these
graduation
experiences.
or our family Christmas
wedding
party or whatever
Exactly.
it is.
Yeah.
Because they see you as more of a part of their world.
Right.
And that's where you make the difference. If
Right.
you're not just in it for the dollar, people know.
Yeah.
People know if you walk into their house and you're like, I just want to make a buck.
Right.
Okay, that's a bad representation. You're in the wrong business. This is a people business. You do as people business. It's important to care about what's important to them. I had a mentor one time, and I'll never forget this because they were so off base, where they would tell me that I cared too much about my client. I cared too much about him. He didn't care if they had kids. He didn't care if they had a job. He didn't care if their kid was sick or if they were divorcing or any of those things. You know what? He didn't want to know. He could care less. All he wanted to do was sell their house and get a paycheck at the end of the day. And I sat in that office and listened to that, and I was thinking to myself, well, that was a very good lesson of what I will never do to my clients. And you were wrong. And I so much as told him so. And, of course, he didn't like that very much. But I said, you know what? I have to disagree with you. I think that's absolutely the opposite of what you should be doing with people. And if you're in this industry for that,
people.
you're in the wrong industry. And the reality is, I feel like that person is effectively receiving the effect of their words at this point. That they've reached a plateau and they can't go beyond that because that's the reputation that they have now.
Right.
They don't care. And that's sad.
Your home is one of your most personal, private spaces. I mean, some people are, you know, that I've worked with are too afraid to let people into their homes because it's so private and it's so intimate.
Invasive.